Hello, I'm Cinderella. Welcome back to the English Fairy Tale Journey channel. Today we'll be listening to the story The Real Story of Cinderella, Beyond the Glass Slipper and Magic Pumpkins in English.
Welcome to our channel where we explore famous stories. Everyone knows the tale of the glass slipper and the pumpkin carriage. It is a story about a girl named Cinderella. However, the version you know might not be the oldest one. Today we will explore the real story behind this classic fairy tale. It differs from the movie version. Most people know the French version written by Charles Perrault. He introduced the fairy godmother and the glass slipper. But the Brothers Grimm wrote a darker version in Germany. Their story is called Aschenputtel, or The Little Ash Girl. In this video, we will tell you the story written by the Brothers Grimm. It is full of magic and nature. Before we begin, let us look at the main differences. In the German story, there is no fairy godmother. There are no mice that turn into horses. Instead, nature itself helps the young girl. A tree and birds play the most important roles. Let us begin this journey into the past and learn some new English vocabulary. The story begins with a rich man and his wife. They lived happily together until the wife fell very sick. She called her only daughter to her bedside. She told the girl to always be good and pious. She promised to look down from heaven and protect her. Then the mother closed her eyes and passed away. The young girl was very sad and lonely. Every day she went out to the grave of her mother and wept. She remained good and pious just as her mother had asked. The snow covered the grave like a white sheet in winter. When the sun melted it away in the spring, the father took another wife. The new stepmother brought her 2 daughters to the house. They were beautiful with fair faces, but they had dark and ugly hearts. They did not like the poor girl and wanted to hurt her. They took away her beautiful clothes and gave her an old gray dress. They laughed at her and made her work hard. The stepsisters made the girl work in the kitchen all day. She had to wake up before sunrise to carry water and light the fire. She cooked and washed for the whole family. The sisters also played mean tricks on her. They poured peas and lentils into the ashes so she had to pick them out. In the evening, the girl was always tired from her hard work. She had no bed to sleep in, so she lay next to the hearth. She slept in the ashes, which made her look dusty and dirty. Because of this, the sisters gave her a cruel nickname. They called the poor girl Aschenputtel, or Cinderella. One day, the father prepared to go to the fair. He asked his 2 stepdaughters what he should bring back for them. One asked for beautiful dresses, and the other asked for pearls and jewels. Then he asked Cinderella what she wanted. Her request was very simple and humble compared to the others. Cinderella asked for the first twig that brushed against his hat on the way home. The father bought the fine clothes and jewels for the stepsisters. On his way back, a hazel twig brushed against him. He broke it off and brought it home. He gave the expensive gifts to the sisters and the twig to Cinderella. Cinderella took the hazel twig to her mother's grave. She planted it in the earth and cried so much that her tears watered it. The twig grew quickly and became a beautiful tree. Cinderella went there 3 times every day. A white bird would always come to the tree and throw down whatever she wished for. The king announced a grand festival that would last 3 days. All the beautiful young women in the land were invited. The king wanted his son the prince to choose a bride. The 2 stepsisters were very excited. They called Cinderella to help them comb their hair and brush their shoes. They were very mean. Cinderella cried because she wanted to go to the dance too. She begged her stepmother to let her go. The stepmother laughed and said she had no clothes and could not dance. However, Cinderella kept begging. Finally, the stepmother said she could go if she picked a bowl of lentils out of the ashes in 2 hours. The task seemed impossible for one person to do alone. Cinderella went out the back door into the garden. She called out to the gentle doves and turtle doves. She asked all the birds under the sky to come and help her. 2 white doves flew in through the kitchen window, followed by many other small birds. The birds landed in the ashes and began to pick. They put the good lentils into the pot and left the bad ones. They worked very quickly and finished in less than an hour. Cinderella was happy and brought the bowl to her stepmother. She thought she would now be allowed to go to the festival. The stepmother was angry that the task was done. She said Cinderella still could not go because she had no clothes. She emptied 2 bowls of lentils into the ashes. She said Cinderella must pick them out in 1 hour. The stepmother thought this would be impossible and left the room with her daughters. Cinderella went to the garden and called the birds again. The turtle doves and all the birds under the sky returned. They pecked and picked at the ashes very fast. They finished the work long before the hour was up. Cinderella took the bowls to her stepmother and felt hope in her heart. The stepmother said it did not matter what Cinderella did. She would not take her because she would shame the family. The stepmother turned her back and hurried away with her two proud daughters. Cinderella was left all alone in the house. She felt very sad, but she remembered the hazel tree. Cinderella ran to the hazel tree at her mother's grave. She stood beneath it and spoke a rhyme. She asked the tree to shake and quiver and throw gold and silver over her. The white bird in the tree heard her wish. It threw down a dress of gold and silver and silk slippers. Cinderella put on the beautiful dress and the silk shoes. She washed her face and looked like a princess. She walked to the festival and no one recognized her. Her stepmother and stepsisters thought she was a foreign princess. They did not imagine it could be the girl who slept in the ashes. The prince approached her and took her by the hand. He danced with her and refused to dance with anyone else. If another man asked her to dance, the prince said she was his partner. They danced until evening came. Cinderella wanted to go home, but the prince wanted to see where she lived. Cinderella escaped from the prince and ran into the pigeon house. The prince waited until her father came home. He told the father that the unknown maiden was hiding in the pigeon house. The father wondered if it was Cinderella. He took an axe and chopped the pigeon house down, but no one was inside. Cinderella had jumped out the back and ran to the hazel tree. She took off her beautiful clothes and laid them on the grave. The bird took them away. She put on her gray dress and went back to the kitchen. When her family returned, she was sleeping in the ashes by the dim light. The next day, the festival started again. The parents and stepsisters went to the castle. Cinderella went to the hazel tree and said her rhyme. The bird threw down an even more beautiful dress than the day before. When she arrived at the festival, everyone was amazed by her beauty and grace. The prince was waiting for her and took her hand. He danced only with her for the entire day. When evening came, she wanted to leave. The prince followed her to see which house she entered. She ran away into the garden behind her house. There stood a large and beautiful pear tree. Cinderella climbed up the branches of the pear tree like a squirrel. The prince could not find her. He waited for the father to arrive. He told the father that the maiden was hiding in the pear tree. The father wondered again if it was Cinderella. He used his axe to cut down the tree. When they looked, there was nobody in the tree. Cinderella had jumped down on the other side. She had returned her beautiful clothes to the bird at the hazel tree. She was wearing her gray gown and sitting in the ashes. The family found her there and thought nothing of it. On the third day, Cinderella went to the hazel tree again. She asked for a dress and the bird gave her the best one yet. It was pure gold and very shiny. The slippers were also made of solid gold. When she arrived at the wedding festival, everyone was silent with wonder. The prince danced with her and would not let her go. When evening came, Cinderella wanted to leave. The prince had a plan to catch her this time. He had covered the palace stairs with sticky pitch. As Cinderella ran down the stairs, her left golden slipper got stuck and she left it behind. The prince picked up the golden shoe. It was small and dainty. The next morning he went to the father of the two sisters. He said he would only marry the woman whose foot fit the golden shoe. The two stepsisters were happy because they had small feet and thought they would win. The eldest sister went to her room to try on the shoe. Her mother stood by her side. She tried hard to push her foot into the golden slipper. However, her big toe was too large and the shoe did not fit. The mother looked angry, but there was nothing they could do. The younger sister went to her room to try next. She got her toes into the shoe easily, but her heel was too large and would not fit. She pushed and squeezed, but the golden shoe was too small. The mother was furious, but the shoe simply did not fit her foot. The prince asked if there was another daughter in the house. The father said there was only a little stunted kitchen girl from his late wife. He said she could not possibly be the bride. The prince insisted on seeing her. The stepmother did not want to call her, but she had to obey. Cinderella washed her face and hands and came into the room. She bowed to the prince and he handed her the golden shoe. She sat down on a stool and took off her heavy wooden shoe. She put her foot into the golden slipper. It fit perfectly like it was made for her. Cinderella stood up and the prince looked at her face. He recognized the beautiful maiden he had danced with. He cried out that she was the true bride. The stepmother and the two sisters were shocked and pale with anger. The prince took Cinderella on his horse and they rode away together. As they rode past the hazel tree, the two white doves cried out. They sang a song that the shoe fits and the true bride is here. The doves flew down and sat on Cinderella's shoulders. One sat on the right and one on the left. They stayed there as the prince rode to his castle. This version of the story teaches us many things. First, it shows that kindness and piety are rewarded. Cinderella remained good despite her suffering. She honored her mother and stayed humble. The stepsisters were proud and cruel. In the end, their cruelty did not bring them happiness or the prince. Second, we see the power of nature. In the Disney movie, a fairy godmother uses magic wands. In the Grimm story, the magic comes from the hazel tree and the birds. This connects the story to the earth and the memory of ancestors. It is a more spiritual kind of magic. The golden slipper is also different from the glass slipper. Glass is fragile and can break easily. Gold is strong and valuable. It represents the true value of Cinderella's character. The story has changed over hundreds of years, but the core message remains the same. Goodness will always triumph over evil. It is interesting to see how stories change in different countries. In China, there is a similar story called Ye Xian. In that story, a fish helps the girl instead of birds. In Egypt, there is the story of Rhodopis. These stories show that humans all over the world share similar dreams. Learning these older versions helps us understand culture. Fairy tales are not just for children. They contain lessons about life and history. By reading the Brothers Grimm version, we see a different side of European folklore. It is less polished, but perhaps more powerful than the modern cartoon versions. Let us review some vocabulary from the story. The word pious means to be deeply religious and moral. A hearth is the floor of a fireplace. Lentils are a type of small bean used in cooking. To quiver means to shake slightly. Pitch is a sticky black substance like tar. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the real story of Cinderella. It is a tale of hope and resilience. Even when things are dark and difficult, we must remain good. Just like the hazel tree grew from tears, good things can grow from sadness. Keep learning and reading stories. Thank you for watching our video today. If you liked this story, please give us a like. Subscribe to our channel for more fairy tales and English lessons. We have many more stories to share with you. Tell us in the comments which fairy tale you want to hear next. See you in the next video. Keep practicing your English every day. Remember that every story has a history behind it. Goodbye and have a wonderful day.